Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday! This is the Damn It Unhappy Devils recap. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinnie Parise of pucksandpitchforks.com, filling in for the lucky son of a gun, Scotty of SiriusXM Liquid Metal, as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Oh my goodness. What have we done, Vinny? Poor Tyler B. He won the tickets for tonight. And what happened? The Devils get absolutely destroyed. A big setback in the franchise. I think it set us back 3 years tonight, Vinny.
It's possible. I feel really bad for our friend Tyler B. He won these 2 tickets, and the New Jersey Devils should be absolutely ashamed of themselves that they allowed our friend Tyler and the other, faithful fans that showed up to the Prudential Center tonight to catch their favorite team play hockey, and they let him down. They played like garbage from the time the puck dropped, and they let up a goal the second the game started. And from right there, you knew that this team had no chance to win that game. Literally, the game was over 20 seconds in when it was 1-0 so fast. And then Austin Matthews had his because he has to score his nightly goal against the New Jersey Devils. He has scored at least one in every game, and Mitch Marner had himself a night. And that's just the way it is for the Devils right now. They don't like winning. They don't like giving their fans a good show. They feel like they don't have to. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games now. The only one who seems to really be caring out there about doing any sort of offensive minded stuff and taking advantage of his opportunities seems to be Jack Hughes. He did have his 1 goal, which was nice to see. He remains just under a point per game player, and that's probably going to be the case for the rest of his career, at least in his prime, because he's awesome. But the rest of the team,
Yeah, and I got to tell you, before we get to the format of this Devils After Dark, Vinny, if you're not familiar, I know you are, but we always do a recap of the game, going through the scoring summary, and that's what Scotty's doing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to attempt to do that as I'm opening up my phone right now. And let's see. All right, so Devils lose 6-4 the previous night after blowing a 4-2 lead. Puck drops, and the game's over. The game's over. Spezza scores 2:13 in the first period on a snapshot. Then Austin Matthews scores at 8:38 in the first period. Again, 2-0 Toronto, 3-0 Toronto, 4-0 Toronto, 5-0 Toronto. We're in the second period now. 6-0 Toronto. So the Devils in 3 periods, dating back to the third period of the last game, night before, first and second periods tonight were outscored 10-0. 10-0. In the third period, okay, Jack Hughes scored. He didn't celebrate. He knew better. Sharangovich and Bratt with the assists. Then Mitch Marner piled it on, 7-1 Toronto. There were times, Vinny, where I thought that Toronto played the no mercy rule and just decide not to shoot anymore. There were times where it's like, oh, he's going to score. And nope, he passes back to somebody. It was a clinic today by the Maple Leafs. All right, this tells you, I mean, these stats are useless. 36 shots on goal for the Maple Leafs, 32 for the Devils, 55% face-off percentage wins by the Maple Leafs, 44.9 for the Devils, 0 for 2 on the power play, the Maple Leafs, Devils 0 for 3. Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter tonight. It was that bad. It was real bad, as the Devils will pause for the NHL All-Star break. But does it really matter? That, what's this break going to do?
No, of course it's not going to do anything. I mean, right when the Maple Leafs started to turn it on late in that game against them back in Toronto on Monday night, that was the turning point for the entire week for the Devils. They got killed from that point on, including going into tonight, to the point where, do you remember how they lost yesterday? A shorthanded goal against, scored by Ilya Mikheyev, assisted by Alexander Kufa. We talked about it at length during the pregame show. What do the Devils do?
Yep.
They get a power play somewhat early in this game, and the Leafs had more chances on John Gillies than the Devils did on their own power play. And so everything that was negative that carried over from the last game into this one is mainly the reason that they lost. And then you ask about the going into the All-Star break. You look at the standings. Of course, the Devils have no chance at making it to the playoffs. They are in dead last place of the Metropolitan Division. The only team ahead, like within striking distance of them, is the New York Islanders, who are 1 point ahead. But guess what? The New York Islanders have played 8 less games. They're going to soar up the standings as they start to win games. They're just under 500. They'll probably get a little bit better as the season goes along. The Flyers have lost like 14 of their last 15 games, and they're still ahead of the Devils by 3 points. And they have played the same number of games. When you look at the standings as a league, the Devils are in legit contention again for the draft lottery. The Ottawa Senators have 3 less points than them. Well, guess what? They've played 5 less games, excuse me. So those points could be made up to 3 points. Ottawa's probably a better team than the Devils. Their goal differential significantly better, almost double. And then that leaves the Seattle Kraken as one of the only teams that actually have a chance. I don't think Arizona or Montreal are going to catch the Devils in points, but maybe if you keep losing this way, maybe, and then you end up with Shane Wright or another top 5 pick. I just cannot believe where this team is in the standings after where they started early in the year. We want to crack jokes about it. We could crack all the jokes we want. The Devils are just not a good team. They don't defend well. I did myself a favor over these last 2 days because I wanted a little extra insight, right? Steve Cangelosi and Ken Danico, I love them to death. I'll always be loyal to those guys. I think they're 2 of the best in the entire game. But they do like to talk about things on how the Devils can improve. And, I'm not going to say sugarcoat it. They don't always sugarcoat it. But I wanted to hear from an unbiased point of view what the scope is of the New Jersey Devils. So what did I do these last 2 games? I watched both of them using the TNT broadcast. Or not TNT, excuse me, TSN. And no, it's not even TSN. Excuse me one more time. I think tonight was TSN and yesterday was Sportsnet. And, hearing the Canadian guys call the game and hear what they had to say, they were very, very blunt about what they think is the issue with this team. Of course, all the high praise for Jack Hughes in the world. To me, ripping on Jack Hughes just makes it clear that you haven't watched the games. Yes, turnovers are a major issue. He was 5 giveaways in the first 2 periods for Jack Hughes, but why might that be? It's because the rest of the team behind him is so bad that they go down 3, 4, 5-0. So he's trying to create too much, do too much, and that's going to naturally lead to giveaways. That's how hockey works. And so Jack Hughes was able to get his goal, but the TSN guys tonight were just ripping on the Devils for things that are coachable, like Ray Ferraro going off about how the Devils just aren't hard on the puck. They're easy to play against. He said he wishes he could play in that game back in his day because those types of games didn't exist back in the day. Teams just owning the Devils in terms of puck possession. And whenever the Devils get the puck, the pressure, they're not hard on it. They don't make good passes. They don't make good decisions. They don't work together. And it's so obvious on the ice when you're watching it. And hearing it come from someone like Ray Ferraro, who scored a lot of goals in the NHL as a player, it speaks volumes to me, because he seems to be pretty unbiased when it comes to even evaluating the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know when they play on Sportsnet, they call it Leafsnet, or TSN loves the Leafs. Everybody loves the Leafs. Well, the Leafs aren't perfect either, but those guys know how to evaluate hockey better than anyone. And hearing what they had to say about the Devils' effort, it just sets a really weird feeling inside of me. I can't believe the way that the New Jersey Devils, the team that at one point had Martin Brodeur, the greatest goaltender who ever lived, backstopping them. And they had Scott Stevens and Scott Niedermayer and Ken Danico, three of the best pieces of a defensive core that ever existed. Patrick Elias, one of the great two-way scorers who ever lived. Thinking about some of these guys who have played this team that were hard to play against, even when the team wasn't that good, at least they were hard to play against. Adam Henrique, Jaromir Jagr, those guys weren't easy to play against even when they were bad. This team's just soft. And the fact that the national media, the national broadcasts in Canada, where hockey is like the most viewed and most treasured and most loved, they're seeing the New Jersey Devils and they're going, this team's soft. Damon Severson, he gets his visor stuck and he's trying to fix it while defending at the same time, and that leads to a bad goal against. And just seeing the way that this team, poor Hischier. Everybody likes to rip on Nico Hischier because the offense isn't there, and he's diving all over the place trying to make up for Damon Severson's horrible miscue there, and playing with his helmet. And I feel bad for Hischier. He's never going to reach his true potential if he keeps playing on this team, and it's horrible to watch. I feel so bad for some of the guys, and then there are other guys where I'm just like, no effort. I know the coach is gone, but Elaine Nazardine, we didn't learn 2 years ago. Why is he even an assistant coach at this point? He was bad as a head coach. You're supposed to fire guys like that and move on. You're not supposed to keep them around.
I mean, Vinny, let me tell you something. I pulled a little prank, a little haha joke on Twitter during the game. I put in Chinese, sell the team, and I put it on my Twitter account. Got a lot of reaction out of it. A lot of people saying, the ownership group selling the team is not going to make a difference. It's not like it's going to bring back Scott Stevens or whatever in some of the comments. There is an issue with the New Jersey Devils franchise that I have expressed the last 5 years. There is no accountability. There is no, I'm trying to figure the right word aside from accountability. There's no culture of winning, really. It's all about marketing. Today, the Lunar New Year, those jerseys were kind of sweet, I got to admit.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was different. It was cool. It was well thought out. I might want to bid on one. But the problem here is if you don't have accountability from the top, and I'm not saying I want Joshua Harris to make player decisions, but at some point, why do you even own this team to begin with? It's very easy. It's a flip. And I feel as a fan, because you know what's actually, you don't know this, Vinny. If I have my dates correctly, do you know what is tomorrow? It's not Groundhog's Day. It's the Devils will invoice you for the 2022-23 season tomorrow. So when your email, you got your phones on you, and you hear that ding, and you're looking at what email. Sign up, renew the Devils membership, because we've got exciting brand of hockey. And I will tell you, Devils fans, be nice to your season ticket reps. It's not their fault. They did nothing wrong. It's a bad product on the ice. Why hasn't the coach been fired? Why hasn't the, whatever? And I'm not I'm just generally speaking. There's just no accountability coming from up top. And then Tom Fitzgerald on December 20th, it was a nice little run there for a couple games, but the answers are in the room. Well, we tried that route. Now something drastic's got to happen. It's got to happen. Maybe you start trading players, even though it's going to hurt. I don't know. I don't even know what, because I'm telling you, I wrote that blog with conviction on Monday on pucksandpitchforks.com. At the earliest, it's probably going to be 2024-25 season where we actually see this team do anything. And I'm being very generous because at this point, if there's no accountability, it will never happen for the New Jersey Devils. Something has to happen. And it's got to come from up top. And again, I was kidding around with sell the team, but in other respects, I kind of want to ask Joshua Harris or David Blitzer, why the hell do you own this team? Just tell me the truth. If it's money, at least I know. At least I know when I go to a game and I pay money, at least I know, well, you know what? We don't have a chance here, but you know what? I'm going to have a fun time. Don't pretend like the future is going to be great because it's not. It's just lying to us at this point. Don't insult our intelligence. This team sucks.
And there's nothing I hate more than being lied to. There are about 5 guys in the New Jersey Devils organization right now that I probably wouldn't trade. And even besides maybe 1 or 2 of those guys, I guess you can't leave anything off the table because of the fact that nothing's working. But I'm not even sure it's like the top players. Like you said, there's no accountability. We got on that subject by me even saying, why is Elaine Nazardine still even here? Why is he the guy who has to like take over for Lindy Ruff as the head coach? He should have been fired when he took over for John Hines, who didn't do that good of a job himself. And, you know, the owner's not caring about the team. There are lots of owners that are bad in the NHL, but at least their teams are at least doing something. Like, I would say they hate what's his name in Ottawa. And yeah, they're bad right now, but they're rebuilding. They've added some good young players. They're hard to play against at the bare minimum. Nobody likes going up against Brady Tkachuk or any of those guys. They're not fun to play against, even if you beat them by 1 goal. It's disheartening. They were in the conference finals like 3 years ago. The Devils haven't sniffed a playoff game in 3 years, and they didn't sniff even a series win in the 1 year that they did make the playoffs. And since going to the Stanley Cup in 2012, it's just been garbage year after garbage year. And it's getting to the point where it's like, why do I even tune in? During the second intermission, I found myself going like, I don't want to watch the third. I'm going to, because I like to be good at my job. I like to be good at this show and writing for Pucks and Pitchforks and, you know, all the other stuff I do involving the New Jersey Devils. I like being good at it, and you can't be good at it if you don't watch. But if I wasn't invested as much as I am with the work aspect of it, how could I sit there being excited about watching a third period going into it down 6-0 against a team like the Maple Leafs who could go win the Stanley Cup? The Devils are so far away from that. And their one win in the last 10 games is against the Carolina Hurricanes, who are one of the better teams in the NHL and have a legit chance to win the Cup themselves. It doesn't even like excite me that they did that. It's more like, hey, a dead clock's right twice a day. You can't lose every single game in the National Hockey League, so you might get one win. And then now they're going to go into this All-Star break. Jack Hughes is going to put on a show because he's awesome. He's got tremendous skill. He's going to fit right in on the Team Metropolitan with guys like Jake Gensel and Alexander Ovechkin and, you know, I believe Kreider's going. So, you know, so many good players from the Metropolitan Division. Jack Hughes will fit right in. He might even score or have a nice play in the game and do things during the skills competition that wow people. You're going to waste his prime. You're going to waste the kid. He's going to not want to play for you. He's going to tell Luke, hey, let's get the heck out of here. You know, if it doesn't turn around soon, I don't know what's going to be the future of this team. I just don't.
Yeah, you know, and there are people commenting on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Keep commenting. It's, you know, we do a lot of crazy things on this podcast. right now, I'm just speechless. Just speechless on it. It's like you obviously know people that watch Game Day Live. I was on the road. I got home a little late. I did not at the start of the game. You turn on the TV and it's already 4-0. Like, really? 4-0. 4-0. You can't even I got takeout and all that kind of stuff. It's like before I can even eat, it's already 4-0. And again, we've heard all the excuses from the Devils. I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not buying it. You know what? If this thing is going to really happen, it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen the year after. And then the greatest thing is you, the fans, have the leverage as ding, your email goes up. Oh, your invoice is in your account. It's on auto pay. You got 14 days to opt out. 14 days to opt out. How do fans send a message to the ownership group that this is not okay? It's unacceptable, actually. It's unacceptable because in your real world jobs, if you perform like this, you're fired. It's a very clean cut how the real world works. If you perform like that, it even looks like they didn't even show up. They look lost out there. They look like they were overwhelmed out there. Granted, it's one of the best teams in the league, but my goodness, that's how you follow up losing to them 6-4 after basically blowing the game and handing it to them? You handed it to them tonight. And the fans that paid money, I feel so sorry for Tyler B that actually won these tickets. Thank you to JCB Architectural because that's a nice gesture. That's a nice thing to do. But at the same time, it's like, here we are on the Let's Go Devils podcast hyping this up. And it's like, I feel bad. You might as well just stayed home at that point. It's bad. I hate to be negative, but that's how I feel right now. And you can only we played the Benny Hill theme for a reason because that's how I feel. That's how we all feel. This is a joke.
It's as bad of a 2-game stretch as the Devils have probably ever had, especially against the same team back to back. Like, there's nothing you learned in the game against the Leafs in Toronto. There's nothing you could take from that game to avoid at least getting killed in this game. It was over before it started. You didn't even get home. When you got home, it was 4-0. I mean, I watched the game. I know how quickly that it turned around, and it was over in no time, to the point where I got up and I was like, are you serious right now? Is this really what I have to sit here and watch? People who drove to the game, if they went to the snack line and got a pretzel or something, a beer before the game, they get to their seat and it's 3-0 or 2-0 at that point. And you're not coming back against the Maple Leafs. Even if you get in a track meet with them, Austin Matthews is going to damage you, Mitch Marner. Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier are good, but you're not going to compete with those guys in a track meet. You got to defend. You got to do what you got to do to keep those guys at bay. When you have the puck protected, don't be so soft. And that's just the way that it's been for years now.
I'll tell you where my venom with the ownership group comes from. And this is just personal experience. I'm probably going to get in trouble saying this. It came from John McMullen night about 5 years ago. I
remember that when they added him to the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Ring of Honor, right? And I happen to have great seats. And right in front of me, you had the owner's box where they, near the penalty box. Then you have, obviously the club level seats. I saw the two owners. I saw two executives very high up. and I hate to throw them under the bus. I think the Devils were down 3-0 at one point, and everybody's booing, mad. This is like about 5 years ago. And as I look across, I remember I stood up, swearing my head off, which I normally don't do, because none of them were paying attention to the game. I witnessed it with my own eyes. They're doing business deals. They're laughing. One has a beer in his hand. That's fine. But that's not, as a fan, that's not what I want to see. This happened on McMullen night. And I'm thinking to myself, you're kidding me. You honor Dr. McMullen, this performance out on the ice, and none of them were even paying attention to what was going on the ice. Not one person of the four really gave a crap. That's why I'm hard on them, because there's no accountability. They are oblivious. But what do they care? They buy the team for $330 million. It was in debt. It's an easy flip. They've already made their money. 2 expansion teams. That's $30 million right there. Free money just to say, yes, come to our league. And obviously, the Devils' value has grown to probably around $700 to $750 million. And I'm talking this business talk right now because this is what we are, a hedge fund. So let's call it what it is. All right? Just like when Apollo bought Twinkie. They hollowed it out, repackaged it, because there was that whole union agreement that couldn't get done. So they declared bankruptcy. Here comes Joshua Harris's company, I think, or was it David Blitzer's? I don't know. They hollowed it out, and then when you taste that Twinkie, it's not the real thing. I'm just making an analogy here. But enough of that, because I know everybody wants to talk hockey, but that's where my venom comes, because when you're a season ticket holder and you're sitting in your seats, the optics don't look good when the ownership group doesn't really care. Sitting right in front of you, and they were talking about probably some kind of business, even saw a smile, not even paying attention to the boos and all the crap that the fans are yelling. I mean, at that point, I was pissed because it was. Who remembers McMullen night? We got blown out in the first period, second period. It was a joke,
Yeah, I remember that game. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah, and again, that's why, because of that, that's why I get a little carried away with my shenanigans, because it's like you want to they're deaf, they don't know, that oblivious to what's going on. And you know what? There's going to be a whole generation of fans that's going to be lost in the mix of this. You're thinking you're doing all this marketing, that you're planting the seeds. You're planting the seeds. We're from Jersey. We're not going to buy. We're not buying in right now. We're stupid enough to still, pay money. I know definitely I'm probably going to be stupid enough to pay that bill. But who really wants to right now? It's like, oh, are you sure you want to leave? Come on next year. We've heard that before. And I'm not falling for it anymore. I already got my answer on McMullen night. That's all I have to say.
I don't blame you. I mean, that story is just disgusting. I mean, you think about how most fans and guys like us who are in the media and do things to cover this team, why do we care more than the people who are owning the team? If I owned a pro franchise, I would want it to win so bad. I would want to be the person who has the team that's doing so well. Like when the Lightning are winning all these cups in a row and Tampa Bay's ownership is looking awesome, and for hiring the right people and having the good GMs, getting Steve Yzerman, who passed it on to Brisebois, and you end up with guys like Steven Stamkos and Kucherov and Point and Vasilevsky and Hedman, and they're trying really hard to win their third straight cup, and they have a legit chance. Or if you're the Florida Panthers and Vinnie Viola, who he also owns some horses and he's big in the horse racing game, but the Florida Panthers are really good because they're surrounded by good people and good people have been hired and they got good players. It's just not the case in New Jersey. The Hawks, Rock Wirtz, took over for his dad, who was a bad owner himself. And then when he passed on, Rock took over and, became a good owner. And the team turned it around and you hire good people. I keep saying it over and over again because it's proven time and time again how true it is. And the Devils, they just don't care. They do not care. And I wouldn't buy season tickets. I'm here in Chicago. I want to come to Taj Lounge 973. I want to go to the Prudential Center. I want to hang out with you in person and do these shows together in person. But how can I find motivation to come give the New Jersey Devils my hard-earned money that, I stay up till 3 a.m. every night working on articles to support myself and get my money and do what I got to do, or people who wake up 9 to 5 and go to their office job so they can pay to do the things in life that they like and go spend it on that? No shot. No shot.
Yeah.
The fact that, we feel bad for our friend who won the tickets. He didn't even have to pay. All he had to do was get himself there. We feel bad for him. So, when you get to the point where you're feeling bad for people who got to go to the game for free, then you have a major problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm telling you, friends, kids, some of them have told me, Dad, I like the Devils, and I know that's your favorite team, but, I'm looking at Vancouver, or I'm looking at, whatever. These are 8-year-olds right now. All they know is losing. And, this is, just remember, Vinny, way back when, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I thought to myself, as a 21-year-old guy, wow, I've already seen my team win at least one cup, and then suddenly 3 cups. I'm like, remember the 80s? That was such a long time ago. The struggle to get here. But I never forget, it was 20 Rangers fans versus 1 Devils fan in school? It was, and you did everything you could. The bragging rights, the trash talking, the water cooler talk, everything the passion that drives you. Heck, I'm still wondering how we're still doing this podcast after years. We're in season 5 right now. Years and years of just torment. And we have the passion. I just wish ownership had an ounce of what we have as Devils fans. I'm not talking about just you and I. I'm talking about all of you people. I wish they had an ounce that gave a damn about what's going on. Or at least, you know what I want, honestly? For starters, I know Scotty disagrees. I want a written apology, handwritten to me, that says, Sam, I'm really sorry that this hasn't worked out, but we're trying. Come to my office. Maybe we could talk. Something. I don't want to hear it from a college grad, season ticket rep. I want to hear it from somebody substantial, because this has gone on so long. And what? If we go on a 3-game winning streak, it gets carried away. It wasn't, just about a week ago, the Devils' social media crew were bragging how great our power play was. Just because, you had 6 great games? Okay, big whoop. It's not elite. You want to see elite? Toronto Maple Leafs showed who is really elite. That's an elite team. How did the Devils measure up? Not even close. Not even close.
They're not even close to a playoff team, and it's going to be a long time before they are one. If they are ever one again, at least with this group. And I agree with everything you said. You said something about young kids trying to, avoid being a Devils fan, because why would a young kid want to be a Devils fan right now? It's more fun to root for Vancouver or Toronto or the New York Rangers. I mean, it's sad for me to say that. In a way, I'm a product of that. When I was a kid, the
Yeah.
Chicago Blackhawks were terrible. They were in complete and utter disgrace, kind of like the Devils are right now. And at that time, New
Yep.
Jersey was awesome. I didn't want to root for the Blackhawks. I wasn't root. I mean, it kind of sounds bandwagony. That didn't happen to me in other sports somehow, but in hockey it did. And I think the Hawks weren't on TV, which played a part in that. But then I was like, if I'm going to not have a team on TV, I might as well pick a good one. But like, that could happen. What happened to me with the Hawks could happen to plenty of kids in New Jersey with the Devils. And it's up to them to keep that from happening. Do you not want people to root for your team? Nobody likes rooting for a loser. The Devils are a loser franchise right now. They're going to come in last place in the Metropolitan Division for the third year in a row. And they're going to have they had the fourth overall pick last year, the seventh overall pick the year before, the first overall pick the year before that. Then they had the one-off year where they made the playoffs thanks to Taylor Hall absolutely putting the team on his back. And by the way, Taylor Hall had a goal and an assist tonight. He's awesome. Devils fans wanted him out of here for whatever reason. That's the last time the Devils actually had an elite player play it for a full season and show what they can do in terms of offensive ability. I wish we had Taylor Hall back. Don't want Taylor Hall. Get out of here with that. And then the year before that, it was lottery again with Nico Hischier, first overall pick. And then before that, Michael McLeod with pick, I want to say it was 11 or 12. They traded back, I know, with Ottawa. And then the year before that, Zacha, 5th. Adam Larson, 4th. This team's been picking in the top 10 for 15 years almost. I just cannot believe that none of this has worked out. No, the owners just don't care. What, we hired Lindy Ruff? I'm not a Lindy Ruff hater, but like there were so many better options. Go the college route. Do something new. Lindy Ruff was fired from 4 other teams for a reason. The same thing with Elaine Nazardine. Is their power play or is their defense so good that you have to have Elaine Nazardine around? Is any type of scheme in terms of hockey worked for this team in the last 15 years? What are you keeping anybody around for? Mark Recchi? I don't know if the Devils are just cursed, but before Mark Recchi got here, he put together Pittsburgh's power play, and they were awesome. He was a player on Boston and Pittsburgh's power play that was awesome, scoring goals left and right. He knows what makes a good power play, but guess what? The Devils don't have the awesome personnel like they had in Pittsburgh. There's no Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin walking through that door before their next game. So people can hate on Mark Recchi all they want. I still wouldn't keep him around because what he's done hasn't been working. He hasn't been able to get the most out of this team. Yeah, they parked Nathan Bastian in front of the net for a couple games, and they had a really nice stretch. Like I think they're a top 10 power play since the start of the year. But guess what? That's 31 days. You're taking credit. You're boasting about a power play that's been good for 31 days. Are you kidding me? I'm just so sick of what has happened with this team. And I've said it many times.
You know what? You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of the social media people right now. What they're posting. Like this. About the game story. He goes, I'm a head out. It's like, stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. You know what? I don't know what the motive is behind having this cutesy, marketing. But honestly, if you lose 7-1, like you're better. It's best you just shut up. Seriously, I don't know. Years
Be like
ago,
other
growing
teams.
up, just years ago growing up, if you lost that badly, maybe Mitch Marner's dad should coach this team. If you know anything about his dad.
Oh, I know all about his dad. He wanted him to be the captain. He couldn't understand why Austin Matthews or John Tavares were like the two candidates to be the captain. And hey, Mitch Marner's dad showed more fire about his son in the Toronto Maple Leafs than any New Jersey Devils management. And I kind of agree with you. I used to think that the Devils' social media was funny, but it's funny when you're good. Like when the Colorado Avalanche do it, it's funny. Or when the Vegas Golden Knights do it, it's funny. But like they have in their bio the dynasty that haters love to hate. What?
Like, come on.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm willing to bet it's not like I I don't want to, harp on this, but they don't hire anybody from New Jersey. So I don't understand what they're doing. It takes somebody from Jersey to understand Jersey. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like,
Absolutely.
and again, I respect you, Vinny, because you're from Chicago. You became a Devils fan through Zach Parise, being a fan of his. And it's more than just the Taylor ham and pork roll. That's just a joke. That's just being funny. But honestly,
even though it is Taylor ham, right, Sam?
Of course it is. But, honestly, I don't want to fault people, but I don't understand you. Like, I don't understand any of the stuff that they do. And again, it's just, it all boils. That's why I was probably even more pissed about those third jerseys. Not because of style, although that jersey, that logo still ticks me off to this day. But it's amazing how the team was 8-5-3 and have only won 7 games since.
That's disgusting.
It's horrible. I hope. Do I have my? They've only won 15 games, right?
Yes,
I gotta look
they
at
are
the
15.
standings.
They are 15, 25-5 with 35 standings points. They've played 45 games, which is tied for the most in the Eastern Conference. Oh no, Detroit and Washington have played 46 games, and Tampa, the Florida Panthers, and Washington Capitol or New York Rangers have played 47. But still, there are teams around them. Like Ottawa's only played 40. And Ottawa's 3 points behind them. They have a higher points percentage and a way better goal differential. So the Devils are right there in Shane Wright conversation. And as cool as it would be to have Shane Wright, because when you go to YouTube and watch some of his highlights, you could tell he's just a little bit different than every other prospect that's come out since Austin Matthews. It's not like we want to be in contention for this kid again. Like, how many times are the Devils going to be in the draft lottery conversation? I mean, I hope they lose every game and win it now at this point. But, I mean, I just can't believe we're right here again.
I don't know, Vinny. I really don't know. I'm going to scroll through. There are so many comments. I'll start with YouTube Live. Dat Jersey Texan. Devils got me missing Lou.
Same.
Chris, the Devils played tonight. Whistler, my anger and frustration with this team has now turned to pity and apathy. Dip set 28. Talent is there on ice aside from goaltending. Hard for me to blame the owners. Come down the staff behind the bench. In my eyes, clean house. You see, that's the problem. That is, again, I get it. Fire the coach or whatever. But honestly, I want a major shakeup. You saw what happened with the New York Mets. The Wilpons have owned the team for a long time. Anything they touched, it turned into a loss, including the team itself financially. Anything they touch. And here comes Stephen Cohen, a diehard Mets fan from Queens, the richest guy in the world, practically. He's actually 6 times richer than Joshua Harris, by the way.
Which is insane.
And outbidded Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. And then the whole mindset changed with the Mets. Now, granted, there's still a lot of work to do. But he didn't stop with just Lindor. He had a lot of challenges because a lot of major league teams wouldn't allow him and his organization to interview assistant GMs, or whoever when they were having their issues. And what did he do? All right. Well, I'm going to get the best pitcher in baseball right now, aside from Jacob deGrom, and throw him a 37-year-old $43 million a year for 3 whatever years. No questions. That's the kind of owner I want. I want somebody so passionate that always wants to win and doesn't want to get screwed and wants to build something special here in New Jersey. I'm not expecting Joshua Harris or David Blitzer to be charismatic like Stephen Cohen, where he's on Twitter, somebody will complain about the rain delays. Okay, not a problem. We screwed up there. I'll have my people figure it out. That kind of thing. But right now, I feel sorry. My season ticket rep calls me, and I tell him, like, look, I feel bad for you. I feel totally bad for you because you get the brunt of everybody's complaints, and you have no control over any of this crap. All you can do is, help me figure out a ticket issue or whatever. You respond to my phone calls. You respond to my emails. I'm grateful for it because honestly, I think a lot of the season ticket reps take a lot of crap from fans, and again, I can't believe we're even talking about this, Vinny, because the team didn't show up today, and it's like we have no material. Like it's what Nasruddin said in the press conference earlier today. Let me pull that up. And this is a great quote. And Nasruddin, I'm glad he, is telling it how it is, because if he tried to, spin this, I'd be even more enraged. But he basically said, there's nothing you can get out of this game except that it's exactly how you don't want to play.
He's right.
He's dead on. And you know what, Elaine Nasruddin, I respect that you're honest, because that's how we all feel. That's how we all feel. I respect that he is honest, that he's not putting, the same old spin, the same old, PR spin on, oh, we just had a bad game, but, we did show promise there in the third period. No, he said basically we sucked, and there's nothing, and Damon Severson, it's hard to put into words when you have such a bad game start to finish. Again, I respect that Damon is being honest.
And he was awful.
With his quotes.
He was their worst player.
He was awful. Yeah. And he's Jekyll and Hyde as well.
He is. He really is.
And Amanda Stein tweeted this out. Again, I didn't read whatever she's talking about, but even she takes a lot of crap from fans. If we can't be respectful and avoid abusive language, I will begin to change my tweets mentions for those that I mention directly. I love engaging with you, and I understand the frustration, but I also have to look after my own experience. So please and thank you in advance. It's sad that I'm reading this stuff. This stuff is happening. I'm mad. You're mad. Even I goofed around a little bit about sell the team. But honestly, it's like, when is enough's enough? We've been over this before. I've been doing this for 5 years, this podcast. We've got so many people listening in right now and watching us. Paul Viking, God, the Devils are bad. At least Vanderbeek cared. Yeah, I'm missing the I'd rather be poor with Vanderbeek than rich with this group. At least Vanderbeek made it fun because he was a real fan. He went above and beyond his means to get the job done, to move the team to Newark. If anybody remembers how difficult the New Jersey politics behind it all, and he was doing it at the height of the housing bubble. And also on top of it, he was the CEO and chairman of Lehman Brothers, which eventually collapsed in 2008 and practically lost all of his money in his retirement with that company. So he again, it's at least Vanderbeek did care. Vanderbeek wasn't perfect. He bankrupted the franchise, but he kept it alive enough for somebody like Joshua Harris to take the torch. Grateful that Joshua Harris and David Blitzer have the means and money to buy the team, but I don't think their intentions had us in mind. I don't think they even thought about it. They think that we're all going to flock to them, but granted, they're not real fans. They are who they are.
Yeah, I mean, the proof is that they keep buying teams from different cities, right? And it's not like they're like me who are like loyal to all of one city except for one sport. They're all over the map for every sport. They got the Philadelphia 76ers are probably like their biggest one, and then the New Jersey Devils. They have stakes. Don't they have stakes in the Pittsburgh Penguins? And then of course the Cleveland Guardians. As of late, they got involved with them.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers.
Yep.
So they're all over the map. And the Cleveland Guardians, I know that like for the most part they're on the East Coast, and Pittsburgh and Cleveland not too far from each other. But I mean,
how they acquired that Pittsburgh. How they acquired that Pittsburgh Steelers share. It was David Tepper, hedge fund guy in Short Hills, New Jersey. A buddy of mine actually works with him, and he had those shares, and then he eventually bought the Carolina Panthers, which then he had to relinquish those shares with Steelers, and again, one hedge fund guy to another hedge fund guy, and that's how that worked. But honestly, I'm just reading these comments, but and don't forget Real Salt Lake in MLS. It's like I'm at least grateful that they didn't buy the Mets. I've said this many times on the podcast. I quit sports at that point because I know what would be coming. But the thing is, I don't think they could get away with this in New York. This type of losing in New York, they would get murdered, figuratively speaking. Like the press. You think our podcast is bad right now? Think of what
Mad
New
Dog,
York would do to you.
Stephen A.
Yeah, think what New York would do to the Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. They would. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you how bad it would be. If they bought the Yankees or Mets, because baseball is king in New York. Say if they bought one of those teams and they messed it up that badly, like they have with the Devils, there would be hedge fund people that are Yankee fans or Mets fans or whatever. A lot of business people wouldn't even do business with you because you screwed up their team that bad. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
I couldn't agree
people
more.
Get pissed.
All the teams that they're involved on are teams that are known outside of the Steelers, because in football, I would say every team is 8-8, and then a couple tweaks here and there are the difference between being 6-10 and 13-3. Or I know there's the extra game now, but you get what I'm saying. Every team, give or take a couple tweaks, maybe a quarterback, starts at 8-8, and then you go from there. And then there's no such thing as a bad market in the NFL. Every team makes a lot of money with TV deals, and every stadium's full every single day. So besides the NFL, so now you start to look at basketball. Okay, the 76ers, trust the process. Well, in the NBA, you can trust the process a little bit, because if you hit on some really high draft picks year after year after year, eventually that big 3 or 4 is going to start to, at minimum, put together a competent team. But why haven't the 76ers been able to get over the hump like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Miami Heat or the Golden State Warriors? Because they haven't added that one big free agent.
And I wonder why Ben Simmons has such a problem in Philadelphia.
That too. And then
that's a mystery that I want to know. And then you're talking about, here's some more negativity. How about a GM that has a burner account that's talking smack about the other players? This is the Philadelphia 76ers, which is absolute, like, that's embarrassing. Like, extremely embarrassing.
Exactly. And then it carries over to the Guardians. They sold Francisco Lindor to the New York Mets for a bag of baseballs and some hot dogs. They heard that they were the Indians at the time, now they're the Cleveland Guardians. Oh, that's a team that doesn't spend a lot of money, but they make a lot of money. Oh, let's take that team.
Well,
that could
let
be a
me
really
ask
good
you
money grab.
this. Let me ask you this, in your opinion. Do you think David Blitzer, potential buying the team, changed the name so he would buy the team? Do you think he had any influence on that? Because it seemed like it was so hastily done that they didn't even bother looking at the URL that there was a Cleveland Guardians already out. It was some roller derby team. Like, did they change it just to make sure that they can get a deal done so he didn't have to walk in and do the change versus they changed it right away just to get the deal done? I wonder about
Yeah,
that.
that could absolutely be possible, and then they could use everything that happened in 2020 as the excuse. Like the Washington football team changed their name amidst it all, and which it's probably a good thing at this point. It was time for change, but he didn't want to be the one to do it. And who gets all the profit now from them creating Guardians jerseys? And people are going to go to the stands and buy the new hats and the new jerseys and all that stuff. And yeah, it's going to be a money grab, and they don't have to pay Francisco Lindor. Trevor Bauer's gone. They traded Clevenger. Wait till Jose Ramirez walks out the door. They're not going to be a very good team in short order. They're not a threat in the American League Central Division. And then you got the Devils who are dealing with the same thing. Yeah, they paid Dougie Hamilton and they gave Heischer and Hughes their contracts, but that barely gets them to the cap floor on its own. It's not like they're anywhere near the cap in the long term. PK Subban's money is going to be coming off the books. They don't pay a goalie extensive money that's going to be there for a long time. Heischer and Hughes might prove to end up being on quote unquote team friendly deals. So it's crazy what's going on with these guys.
Josh S. on the YouTube Live. Sorry, Josh S. keeps on asking. Can someone answer what the owners are doing wrong? I'm legit asking. All right. Think of a New Jersey Devils fan, season ticket holder. Back in 2013, they buy the team. Opening night, the Devils score. First team to score. The crowd's going nuts. The goal horn is going. And then suddenly it's Bon Jovi without any warning. They changed the goal song. And you see everybody looking at each other like, WTF. What the heck is this? What's that?
It's
gone now.
I know Gary Glitter is we don't like him anymore, and every team in the NHL is not allowed to use it anymore. But that song was beloved by the Devils fans, chanting, "Hey, you suck." Hey.
But it was without any warning.
No warning. No warning.
No warning. It was played in preseason, and then you get the BS answers. Okay. Secondly, I did the research. You can ask Nick Villano about it because we had a little debate behind it. I did the research back in 2006. The rights of that song was bought by Snapper Music in the UK. And Snapper Music in the UK, the revenues that they get from royalties from that song actually gets redistributed to children's charities to fight that kind of behavior. But the rumors were that Gary Glitter was actually getting those royalties. No, that wasn't true. I actually talked to the owner of Snapper Music UK, the record label, personally myself back in 2006. And that's what he told me. And then there was a New York Post article about a year and a half ago confirming that. But that owner that I talked to had passed away about two years prior to the rumors that, if you remember, that Gary Glitter was getting those royalties. So that's not even true. As a matter of fact, it actually helps. It actually goes to children's charities, whatever. But I don't want to talk about the goal song because that's not what it's about. Josh S. is asking, what are they doing wrong? They changed the entire culture of the New Jersey Devils. The third jerseys doesn't even have the logo. It's more of, think of this, Josh. You got a family business that's been around, like Callahan Auto Parts. Tommy Callahan, and then it gets bought out by some big corporate conglomerate, and they just hollow it out, and then just you keep the assets and flip and whatever, and just part it out, and then you pretty much have nothing. That's what the New Jersey Devils are. That's what the New Jersey Devils are. You know, a family business that got bought out. It's part of a big conglomerate inside of a portfolio of a few people, and they really just don't care about us. But little do they know, at least in hockey, it's all about gate receipts. But they're getting their gate receipts elsewhere because it comes with the arena. They're making money on Elton John concerts, Rolling Stones when they come in, whatever. They make a lot of money, and that's something to be proud of. But when it comes to us, we're a pain in the butt. They don't care. They hope that they can win, but they're not gonna pay for it, you know. And you know, and that's what's wrong. And not only that, they don't hold people accountable. It's just status quo. I want an owner that wants to win. I want an owner that on John McMullen night is not talking business with another guy. Everyone, you know, I told this story to a couple of people, and they'd say, Sam, you know what? That's what they all do. Yeah, but you know what? When you're down 4-0 on John McMullen night, have the decency to at least care. Shoot, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. Why is the product so bad on the ice? Instead, no one's paying attention. 4 executives. 2 of them are owners. Not one of them was looking on the ice. They were talking about something else and even smiling, laughing while the crowd's booing, really pissed off that they're losing. You know.
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
Yep. And I remember it very well because I rarely curse at a Devils game, but at that point I was, because it's, why should I care if you don't even know and oblivious what's going on, you know, on the ice. But anyway, so I wanted to answer Josh S's. I mean, it's we could spend another hour on it. We're over an hour on this podcast. Matt Freudenberger, you know, he thinks that this is the work of David Blitzer, a New York Rangers fan. I heard that he grew up as a Rangers fan as a kid, which is fine because, you know, it's like, well, if the Devils weren't around. So did Gary Bettman. You know? Yeah, you know. But you know what? Hold on a second. Sorry. Gary Bettman, say what you want about him. He pays for his own tickets and he goes to the games with his grandkids. So, and he's very nonchalant with his, you know, he's very, you know, in street clothes or whatever. That's what I heard, you know, and he's a New Jersey resident. Same with Bill Daly, you know, and they have a job. They have a tough job to do because, you know, yeah. And also Paul Viking says raising prices too. Yeah. I mean, most expensive beer in the league.
Oh, yeah. We've had that conversation on this show a million times.
Maybe that's the business plan. Bad hockey team. Let them drink their sorrows away.
Yeah.
And we profit.
Good way to make money. Yeah. Good way to make money.
Well, Vinny, it's a pleasure. I mean, I could go all night. It's Devils After Dark.
Plenty of time in the future.
Yeah, and I just thank you for filling in for Scotty, who's I don't know who watched the Jackass premiere, you and I or Scotty tonight.
Both. Hi, I'm Vinnie Parise, and this is New Jersey Devils hockey.
That's great. Let's see. Coming soon next season, $18 beers. That says Corbin in the Facebook Live. There's no tradition or care in this team.
$1 for every win they have this season. Let's go Devils.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that they try to do. It's like a manufactured corporate culture. Like it's a corporation that manufactures like fan culture. Fan culture it's grown organically. It just happens. Like this podcast, there was no corporate dollars behind this podcast. It just happened. It's just the way it is. It's not like, okay, we hire a few people, do a podcast, make a bunch of bucks. No, this is a labor of love. This is what we do because that's what we do. We're Devils fans, so. But Vinny, we're going to have to pull the plug.
It's about that time.
I want to thank you. I want to thank all those listening in. We'll drop the podcast a little later for your morning commute. Sorry for the long-winded podcast. You know what? When you have a game like this, sometimes it's better just not to talk about the game and just say, and just kind of evaluate what's going on. One of the things that, Utica After Dark, maybe that's what we should call it.
I like that.
Start covering the Utica. Very nice, Steve Tarnas.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But, all right, I'm going to play the music. But I just want to thank all those listening. Any final thoughts, Vinny, before I pull the plug?
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun doing the pre-All-Star game portion of the schedule with you. I thank you for it. And let's go Team Metropolitan Division in the All-Star game.
Yeah. Maybe Jack Hughes will learn something from these guys.
Yeah.
Well, it was therapy session for all of us, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm going to get.
I feel better.
I feel like I'm going to get in trouble tomorrow morning.
No, you're fine.
Somebody from
You're just speaking the truth.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll figure it out. All right. I want to thank all those watching, listening in. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's Go Devils. Like our Facebook page. Or follow our Facebook page at Let's Go Devils Podcast and on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Let's Go Devils Pod. PucksandPitchforks.com as well. Till next time, let's go Devils.